It's games like Mondays that gives me hope for what the Cardinals could be moving forward into 2026. I'll tell you why on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast on X at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can find us all over the place at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans of baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's show, we're going to do some discussion about the trade deadline. Obviously, that's a big deal right now. Trade deadline chatter is the pulse of the league at the moment. We'll talk about which pieces of the Cardinals are being talked about heavily, because there's a certain aspect of this team that a lot of teams seem to be interested in, especially now that the news about the Guardians Emmanuel Clase has come down. I also want to talk about, obviously, this team moving forward and things that I like about last night's game. The biggest thing about last night's game that stood out to me is Andre Pallante. A 7-1 whooping by the Birds over the Marlins, who, they got a record below 500, but over the last month, they were 20-10 coming into this game. Only the Blue Jays and the Brewers had better records than the Miami Marlins over that time span. They've been outstanding, and they're not even motivated by playoff aspirations. They're just a young team that is having fun playing baseball together. I know some of these guys might be moved at the trade deadline as well, but it's something that I've talked about on MLB Game Night, where they ask about the Marlins and what I think they should be doing. And I said I hope they should be asking for a king's ransom for dudes, because eventually some of these teams that have just constantly been rebuilding, they need to keep these young guys together and move forward. I think that's what the Cardinals are planning on doing, and I like that mentality. I mean, you can't just keep churning them over and over and over and expecting it to finally do something good for you. Got to keep some guys eventually. So we'll see what they do. But like I said, story of this game, Cardinal starter Andre Pallante, he was outstanding last night. What else can you say about him? Granted, the Marlins aren't murderers row when it comes to their offense, and they were missing their best bat in all-star Kyle Stowers, who was out with an illness. But, when it comes to Palante, all I'm really looking for is positivity, progression, and consistency. Those are the things I'm looking for from this guy. And something that says, when you hear the post-game interviews, they're like, well, I'm working on this and I'm working on that. When does working on those things start to click? Start to actually work out in game situations? And Monday night, things were working really, really well for Andre Pallante. He doesn't give up a hit until the 6th inning, which is, awesome. Obviously, he throws 7 shutout innings in total. He allows the 1 hit in the game, only 1 walk, so he wasn't beating himself, and he strikes out 4, which is pretty much on par. Sometimes he hits those 7 strikeout games, but for the most part, 4, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there is really kind of his sweet spot when it comes to strikeouts. And the most impressive thing about this game to me was that he did all of that, the 7 shutout innings, the 4 strikeouts, and he did it in just 81 pitches. He was attacking the zone. He didn't get into deep counts. And when he's on, he did what he does best, and that is induce ground balls. 10 ground ball outs on the night. This was something the Cardinals sorely needed after watching their rotation just get shelled here in the month of July. It's been rough to watch, and it doesn't matter who it is. All of them were getting hammered. It's not just one guy or the other. Palante himself, guilty. 18 combined runs over 15 2/3 innings in his last 3 starts, the ERA of 9.77. That's trash. That's terrible. They know it's terrible. It's not like they want to be terrible. The team was 0-3 in all 3 of those games. It was a real struggle for him. So to finally get an outing like this, it's just huge for the whole team, really. I mean, obviously for Andre, obviously for the pitching staff saying, oh, thank you, we don't have to use all our bullpen guys here tonight. But it just makes you feel better about yourself and about things for at least one night, right? After the game, he said, I had some hard hit balls at guys, and I feel like that's just kind of evening out with what's been going on over the last few weeks. But I stayed on the attack, commanded the inside part of the plate, and I kept the off speed down. They make it sound so simple, like, no big deal. We just did this, 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 and this. And the question is, why can't you do that every time if it's so easy? We see these games from Palante. I call them tease games because you'll have these games where he is just dominant and you're like, okay, all right, I see why we like you. And then you'll see him go on a stretch where he just gets his brains kicked in. And to remain consistent, it's not an easy thing to do in the major leagues. Those 3 games he pitched before this, obviously I mentioned that they did not pitch very well. They went very, very bad. But the first game of July, he was awesome. He threw another 1-hit, 7 shutout performance against the Pirates. In June, he had a really bad game to start the month, and then he reeled off 4 solid starts in a row where the team only went 2-2, but he was fine. He allowed just 7 earned runs over 21 1/3 innings. The ERA was under 3 at 2.95. I know it's easier said than done, but bottling up the Andre Pallante that you saw in that good stretch in June, and obviously what you saw on Monday night, that's what we got to figure out, how to keep him there more times than not. Every pitcher is going to have a bad game from time to time, even the greats. Tarek Skubal, Jacob deGrom had a bad game last night for it happens. It's going to happen. To expect them to be perfect all the time is ludicrous. But being more consistent is really going to be a key for Andre Pallante. And when I see him do what he was doing in June before this really bad stretch, and then to see what he did last night, it gives me more confidence about what this rotation is going to look like next year, because Andre Pallante is going to be in this rotation next year. Right now, you got Sonny, you got Libby, you got Palante, and then it's kind of question marks. I was hoping for Tekoa Roby and Quinn Matthews to be those next 2 guys, but Roby had the injury. Tommy John, he's done, and Matthews has had injury issues throughout this season, has not pitched all that well at Memphis. So the shine on his star has diminished a little bit. So it makes people wonder after seeing Kyle Leahy throw pretty good over a few innings. I don't know. Did we stretch out Kyle Leahy? Would he be better served as a starter next season? I don't have an answer for you with that. All I know is I want to trust Andre Pallante more. I really do. And last night's performance is an example of why the Cardinals are not giving up on him. I know after those 3 ugly starts, there were so many people who were like, get him out of here. He sucks. Cut Fetty, cut Michaelis, cut Palante, move on. And this is why the Cardinals still believe in him, because he can go out and do things like this. Are we expecting 7 shutout innings every single time? By no means is that real. But to have a guy who was, again, a pitch to contact guy, a lot like McGreevy, and Michaelis and Fetty, to do the quality start thing where it's 6 innings, 3 earned runs, that type of guy would be nice. So thinking about it, I forgot McGreevy's in the rotation now. So you got 4 guys who are ready to go. So there's one big opening at the back end of that rotation right now. But still, it makes you feel better that Andre Pallante is pitched well last night. You just want to see him keep it up. Again, there's going to be bad games, but more good than bad is what we're looking for over the final 2 months of this season. It was also very nice to see the offense cook a little bit, wasn't it? We're going to discuss their night and one particular sequence that, like Palante's performance, gives me more hope for the future. We've also got trade deadline chatter coming up here in this show. This is Locked On Cardinals. Today's episode brought to you by Gameday Hue, and so is, hold on, let me grab it, is this particular hat that I will be wearing this weekend when I do some golfing. For Cardinals fans like me, these hit the mark. They're very, very cool. Clean, no logo gear from Gameday Hue with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. So whether you want to get blues-colored stuff, you can do that. Mizzou, the Fighting Illini, whatever. They've got the color scheme for all of them. No giant logos getting in the way, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, the golf course, and pretty much anywhere in between. I like wearing the stuff on the golf course. They're light, they're comfortable. Keeps me cool in these hot St. Louis summer, times when you're out on the golf course where there is no shade. Well, there's shade where I'm going because I don't hit the ball very well, but it looks good. It goes with the bag. It goes with my shoes. It goes with everything that I wear. And it's not just the hat. You've also got the split shade gloves, which are right here, which, very much remind me of like batting gloves that the boys wear out on the field. Obviously, keep your hands dry during the summer while you're out on the course. Perfect gifts for birthdays or Father's Day or whatever winter holidays you're celebrating. So right now, get in on it. You can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. HUE is how that's spelled. That code even stacks on bundle deals. So now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want, and TikTok. Getting a lot of feedback on there recently as well. So the feedback always welcome and encouraged, the good and the bad. Cardinals offense got stymied over those final 2 games against the Padres. Scored a combined 3 runs in the losses. I was there on Saturday night when they didn't do much at all. They charged the field as much as they scored runs in that particular game that I was at. And Monday they faced fireballer Edward Cabrera of the Marlins. So life wasn't expected to be very easy for them, and it wasn't, because the offense didn't have a whole lot going on in this. But with the way Palante was pitching, what they did early on ended up being enough for a while. Alec Burleson got the Birds on the board first with that piss missile just over the center field wall. Makes it 1-0. The exit below 107.4. Back-to-back games that Burley's got a dinger, who's, he's been one of the more consistent guys on the team. As soon as they gave him regular playing time, he's been doing what Alec Burleson normally does. Very consistent. 14th home run ties him with Wilson Contreras for the team lead. We got that unlikely score in the 4th inning when well-known, worldwide known speedster Joel Pozo, the slim guy, so trim, so quick on his feet, hits that 2-out double, which is great. Any kind of 2-out damage is awesome. But then he scampers to third base on that wild pitch. Then the throw gets away. Pozo comes home. What the joke, speed never slumps. You hear it all the time when you see a big man running and scoring. So that was awesome. I love watching Pozo play. I think he's a good time. Not the most skilled guy in the world, obviously, but he gives his all. He's got a lot of energy. I love that he takes a healthy hack when he's up at the plate, looks like he's going to do damage, and has been a much better offensive player than Pedro Paz has been. Pozo, so far this year, 294 average, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, the OBP at 316, slugging 477, OPS 793. He's done all of that in 45 games and 109 at bats. So very small sample size. Meanwhile, you got Pedro Paz. He's now under the Mendoza line with his batting average. He's at a $199. The OBP, PU, 243. Slugging, 311. OPS, gross, 554. The benefit of Paz, remember, it was always about his defense. Oh, he's so good on defense, and he handles the pitchers very, very well. His catching abilities, they haven't made much of a difference recently. The starting rotation's been getting beat up with or without him. So that hasn't helped the cause. And since the beginning of June, he's hitting 183 and has struck out 30% of the time. He is a black hole in this offense when he starts. Whereas Joel Pozo at least offers you some sort of offense when he's in there. So I'll be honest, I'm not opposed to seeing more Pozo in this lineup moving forward. What Paz is doing is backup catcher numbers. If he's not making a difference behind the plate like they tell you he does, then something's got to change, because you just can't keep doing this where he is just getting nothing. You're basically hitting with 8 guys while the other team gets 9. Not smart, right? But here we are, up 2-0 in the 7th. Cardinals bust things open, and it was who was doing the damage in this inning that gets me excited about things. Victor Scott. We all love Victor Scott. We see what he can be. Rips a double, steals second, is 27th of the year, tied for 6th in the league. Donnie walks. Then your new left fielder, Ivan Herrera, walks, which I'm not opposed to moving him around. And whatever you got to do to keep these guys in the lineup and get the best offensive guys in the lineup more often for this team, I'm cool with it. Give him a shot. Why not? Why not? What do we got to lose? What do we got to lose, right? So Ivan Herrera ends up walking, which brings in Burley, gets the catcher's interference call, so another run scores. Contreras strikes out, but another one of our young guys, one of the younger core, Masyn Winn steps up and delivers with a 2-out RBI double down the line in left field, clears the bases, makes it 6-0. He ends up taking third because there was a bobble in left field, because at first we thought it was a triple and it wasn't. Then that is followed up by an RBI double off the wall in left center field by Jordan Walker. And I tell you what, Chip Carey has not figured out how to judge Jordan Walker fly balls yet. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a Jordan Walker thing. I don't know, but it comes off the bat well, and it looked like a big swing. But Chip will be, there's a drive, and then it hits off either the warning track or the base of the wall. So he gets fooled a little bit. It seems to happen with Jordan Walker a lot. Maybe Jordan Walker's got more topspin on the ball, and it's killing these drives at the end of them. But either way, he stung it. 104.7 off the bat. Another hard hit ball by Walker. And if there are two guys that I need to see light it up over the final 2 months of this season to give me hope for next year, it is Masyn Winn and Jordan Walker. I love Donnie. I love Burley. I love Victor. Gorman when he's healthy. I want to see all of these guys do well. Thomas and JC. It's not that I don't want to see them do well, but if there are two pillars of this team moving forward that need to be a big deal, it's those guys. Winn and Walker is the one that could be special in my eyes. They are best friends on and off the field. They've got great chemistry. They're both 23. They've got their whole careers ahead of them, and both have the look of future studs in this league. They were drafted as guys that should be studs in this league. And I pointed out yesterday that I was a little disappointed with the progress from Masyn Winn this year, because his numbers are very much identical to what he was doing last year, which isn't a step back, but it's not a step forward either. Since the All-Star break, though, Masyn Winn has been very, very good. He's been on quite a tear. 3 more hits last night, is now hitting .405 over those 11 games since the break. My question is, I'm not sure what the best spot in the order is for Masyn Winn. I have no idea. They had him in the number 5 spot last night with Arenado out, and he did fine. And, you think about it, he's not running as much, so you don't need him at the top of the order necessarily because of the knee thing that he's dealing with. He's cut down on his strikeouts recently, which is great. He has only struck out 3 times in those 11 games. He does not walk, has no walks since the break. So maybe the 5-hole is a better spot for him. But it's something to tinker with, and Ali can do that over the final 2 months of the season. Meanwhile, Jordan Walker, we're all rooting for this kid. Nobody's not. Been a tough year with the injuries, the constant adjustments with the batting stance as he tries to recapture what made him one of the best hitting prospects in all of baseball. But since returning from the IL, Jordan has looked a lot better. You can't argue that. Still isn't getting the home runs yet. That's a thing, is hitting the ball off the wall a few times. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying still doesn't have a home run since the break. But 308 in those 11 games since coming back with 6 doubles. That's progress. And I hope it continues. I love seeing it. I've also seen some fans have been like, hey, why don't we move Walker up in the lineup just to see what he can do? I'm not opposed to it. I'm really not opposed to it. I think now that he's kind of gotten his eye back and has gotten the bat speed back after being on the IL, maybe it's time to scooch him up and just see what it's like having him hit in the 3, 4, or 5 spot in the order. So we'll see. Again, Ali's going to have 2 months to tinker with these guys because they're not going anywhere. Trade deadline is Thursday. The rumor winds are a-blowing. We'll give you the latest intel from around the league coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis, but on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We've got some great people covering the Cardinals in the St. Louis area. Derek Gould from the Post-Dispatch, Katie Wu from The Athletic, John Denton at MLB.com. So they have been obviously searching for intel, information on what could be or will be happening with the Cardinals at the trade deadline. It just appears that not a lot of talking is going on at the moment, but from what they've been reporting and what I've been seeing from national people is that the Cardinals are getting calls about one particular thing, and that would be bullpen arms, which isn't surprising, right? And things might have actually picked up a little bit after the news surrounding Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase, who has now been placed on the non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st as part of Major League Baseball's investigation into sports gambling. He's the second Guardians pitcher to go down this road, got caught up in this inquiry. Luis Ortiz, who we saw pitch against the Cardinals when they were in Cleveland, also placed on non-disciplinary paid leave after originally being placed there on July 3rd after unusual gambling activity on 2 pitches that he threw for balls. And that's kind of what this is going off of, was that there's the, you can make these micro bets, right? Where like first pitch is going to be a ball or a strike to this particular guy. And they found some unusual activity when these guys were throwing, and have apparently found some video evidence that maybe something was up here. So there's an investigation going on with that. The reason it's a big deal for the Cardinals is because Clase's name has been linked to trade rumors before Thursday's deadline. One of the better closers in the league. I would say that most people would have Clase ahead of Ryan Helsley. The Cardinals have Ryan Helsley seemingly available, as well as their setup man, Phil Maton. So eliminating some of these names that could have been trade pieces is great news for the Cardinals. It's these teams that are searching for bullpen help, they're running out of places to go to find that, and they're going to land on the Cardinals at some point, which means that, the competition to land these guys is going to go up, which means the price for them goes up. And that is good news for the Cardinals, who should take full advantage of this opportunity that people want their players. Derek Gould spoke with Ryan Helsley about things and a situation that, I didn't really think about. And it's just because I always feel like when somebody gets traded away, I feel like they're going to be pissed off at the team that traded them. But Derek Gould spoke with Helsley about, would he consider re-signing with the team after the season? And Helsley was not opposed to it. He said, I would be for sure open to signing back. And that's something that's happened before. The one that stands out to me is the Aroldis Chapman one with the Yankees, who traded him to the Cubs, got some good stuff in return, and then just signed Chapman back when he went into free agency the next year. Do the Cardinals want to invest into a closer who is on the other side of 30 now, is having a down year compared to his 2024 season when he was the NL reliever of the year? Depends on what the cost is. I'm sure there's a number that they'd be comfortable and interested in re-signing him with, but will other teams come through and outbid him? And with the rotation kind of in flux for next year, I mentioned you got Sonny right now, Libby, Palante, McGreevy, you assume will be there. Who's that 5th spot going to be? We don't really know. So for me, I'd be more apt to put my money towards the rotation first before spending a lot of money on a closer. But that's just me. So according to Gould, the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Blue Jays, and several other teams have been in contact about Helsley. I would assume many of those teams would also be interested in acquiring his setup man at the same time, Phil Maton. He's been outstanding for the Cardinals this year, appearing in 40 games, 2.35 ERA. He's shown the swing and miss that people love from the back end bullpen guys. 48 Ks and 38 1/3 innings. Opponents just hit 206 against him. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So you're not like taking on a contract that's going to lock you up. So not a closer, so you're not going to get the same return as you will for a Ryan Helsley, but he's certainly a piece that I think should get plenty of attention. Just like Helsley, Maton has said he prefers to stay with the Cardinals, but understands the business of it. Spoke with Katie Wu from The Athletic. She pointed out that he's all too familiar with this type of situations, been traded 3 times in July in his 9-year career. He's an impending free agent, is going to get a much nicer deal than the 1 year that he signed with the Cardinals, I would assume. I'd assume somebody would give him a multi-year deal, whether it's 2 years, possibly 3 years. So if the Cardinals can get something in return for him and flip him for a couple of pitching prospects, more power to them. And I know it stinks getting rid of some of these guys. You're like, well, we need these guys, right? I get it. But if you're not going anywhere this year and they have a chance to bolt and leave you with nothing, even if they tell you, like, I would love to stay, that doesn't mean they will. You could get burnt there. So flip them, get something in return, and I certainly hope it happens. The Cardinals are in a good spot here to get some good stuff in return for some of these guys. Steven Matz is another one. As far as the other veterans with the no trade clauses go, speculation is that Sonny Gray will not get moved. It doesn't appear Wilson Contreras has any intentions of going anywhere. Most people believe that trading Nolan Arenado probably won't happen either. It's the money, the confusing contract, the no trade clause that he's got, the dip in his offensive production. Just not sure if there's a good fit for him out there that will make everyone happy, including the Cardinals. Obviously, Nato's got to be happy. The other team's got to be happy. Cardinals need to be happy, or it's not going to come to fruition. But if these teams that don't land Eugenio Suarez, who got hit in the hand last night, scared the hell out of a lot of teams. Apparently, X-rays were negative, though. But if they get desperate enough after not getting Suarez, maybe one of them pivots to the Cardinals and says, all right, let's talk about it. Nolan is still an awesome glove at the hot corner, still a great guy. Maybe a change of scenery will help him unlock the offense that has gone dormant recently. I have no doubts that finger injury is something that is bothering him and is the biggest culprit in the dip in his stats in the last month, because he was doing pretty well in June. It wasn't so bad. And then just that injury happened, and then things went south. So we'll keep an eye on it. Deadline's on Thursday. Tonight's matchup, former Cardinal Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara, who is also dealing with trade rumors of his own. He'll go up against Sonny Gray, who has had back-to-back rough outings against Arizona and San Diego. He's got an ERA near 9 in the month of July, but we know he usually pitches much better at home, so hopefully that is the case tonight. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals, YouTube as well. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.